Before dawn on June 6, 1944, thousands of Allied aircraft and ships were already committed to a single wager: that a force crossing the English Channel could break into German-occupied France and stay there. Operation Overlord was not just the famous photograph of men leaving landing craft. It was a vast sequence of decisions, delays, deceptions, weather forecasts, naval routes, airborne drops, engineer work, and infantry assaults that had to connect in the right order under fire. By 1944, Nazi Germany still held most of Western Europe, but the strategic balance had changed. The Soviet Union was pushing from the east. Allied armies had fought through North Africa and Italy. Britain had become an enormous staging ground, filled with camps, depots, airfields, trucks, landing craft, ammunition, fuel, and men waiting for a crossing. The central question was where and when to land. The Pas-de-Calais was closer to England, but Normandy offered beaches, exits inland, and a chance to surprise German command if deception could hold. The deception plan mattered because the invasion force could not hide its existence. The Allies instead tried to hide its destination and timing. False radio traffic, dummy equipment, double agents, and the invented First United States Army Group helped point German attention toward Calais. That did not make Normandy undefended. The Atlantic Wall had bunkers, mines, wire, artillery, and beach obstacles. But deception and uncertainty helped keep German reserves from moving with full speed at the decisive first hours. Weather nearly stopped the operation. The invasion had already been postponed from June 5th. Commanders needed a rare combination: moonlight for airborne forces, tides that exposed obstacles but still let landing craft approach, and weather good enough for aircraft and ships. Group Captain James Stagg and the Allied meteorologists identified a short break. General Dwight Eisenhower had to decide whether to launch into imperfect conditions or wait and risk the entire force being exposed in port. His decision sent the Armada across the Channel. First battle was fought in darkness. American airborne troops of the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions dropped behind Utah Beach. British airborne forces landed near the Orne River and Pegasus Bridge. The drops were scattered in many places, but scattered did not mean useless. Paratroopers cut road, seized bridges, confused German units, and forced defenders to look in multiple directions. Their job was to protect the flanks and keep beach exits from becoming traps. At sea, the scale was almost beyond ordinary description. Warships, minesweepers, transports, landing craft, and support vessels moved through carefully controlled lanes toward 5 invasion beaches: Utah and Omaha for American forces, Gold and Sword for British forces, and Juneau for Canadian forces. Naval bombardment and air attacks tried to suppress defenses, but not every strongpoint was destroyed. The final distance had to be crossed by soldiers in small craft, many seasick, loaded with equipment, and facing obstacles placed to tear boats open. Omaha Beach became the crisis that nearly broke the morning. Currents, smoke, confusion, and strong German positions left many American units landing off target. Engineers and infantry were hit hard at the waterline and on the shingle. The beach exits were covered by fire from bluffs and strongpoints. What changed the battle was not a single clean order but many small acts of local leadership. Soldiers gathering survivors, engineers opening gaps, naval destroyers moving dangerously close to fire directly at German positions, and units finding draws off the beach. Elsewhere, the story was difficult but different. At Utah, airborne disruption and tactical adjustment helped the landing succeed despite the force coming ashore south of the planned sector. British troops at Gold and Sword and Canadian troops at Juneau fought through beach defenses, villages, and inland roads. By the end of the day, the Allies had not captured every ambitious objective. Caen remained out of reach. The beachheads were not yet one seamless front. But the invasion had not been thrown back into the sea. German response was slowed by uncertainty, damaged communications, Allied air power, and command structure. Senior leaders argued about whether Normandy was the real invasion or a diversion before the supposed main blow at Calais. Armored reserves were not released with the speed German defenders on the coast needed. Even when counterattacks formed, Allied naval gunfire and aircraft made movement in daylight dangerous. The first day became a contest between Allied reinforcement and German reaction. The cost was severe. Allied casualties on D-Day numbered in the thousands, with especially heavy losses at Omaha. German casualties are harder to state precisely and vary by source. Civilian Normandy also paid a price as bombardment and fighting struck towns, roads, and farms. A responsible account has to remember that liberation began with destruction for many people living under the battle zone. D-Day did not win the war in a single day. It opened the lodgment that made the liberation of Western Europe possible. After June 6th came weeks of grinding fighting through hedgerows, fields, villages, and fortified towns. The capture of Cherbourg, the struggle around Caen, and the breakout from Normandy were still ahead. But without a secure foothold on June 6th, those later operations could not happen. The reason D-Day still holds attention is not only its size. It is the fragility of the moment. A storm window, a deception campaign, a scattered airborne drop, a naval timetable, and individual soldiers on exposed beaches all had to hold long enough for a bridgehead to become real. On June 6, 1944, the Allies forced open the western door into occupied Europe. The victory was not tidy, inevitable, or bloodless. It was an improvised success inside a plan of immense complexity, and it changed the direction of the war.